You got eye boogies. Do not bite that. You can smell it, but you can't bite it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a very long time since I've been on here. Don't really intend on being back here consistently just yet. Eventually I will, but right now that's not in the cards. But I did want to talk about this topic specifically on here for a couple different reasons that I'll kind of talk about. But for those that don't know who I am, kellynicolefit on Instagram. Go give me a follow if you don't already. Subscribe if you do not already. So as you can tell by the title of this YouTube video, we're talking about something that is a very personal decision that has taken me a long time to kind of come to. And I want to talk about all of that, you know, how I decided to come to this decision, why I wanted to make this YouTube video and all that kind of stuff. So first, let's talk about that. I wanted to make this YouTube, or announce this, I guess, in a YouTube setting for a few different reasons. Number one is I wish I had access to something like this when I was going through the process that I went through trying to make my decision. If you look on YouTube and you search like testosterone women, you will find that pretty much everything is geared towards women who are going through menopause or women who are 40 or older. There's very, very, very little information out there for women that are my age, in their 20s, in their 30s. So I'm currently 26. When I started all of this, I was 25, all this like health journey, I mean. And so like I said, it was very, very difficult to find anybody that I could relate to going through what I'm going through and hearing their experience with how they feel afterwards and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the main reasons I want to be able to help potentially other women with their decision, because I know it can be a very difficult decision. And reason number two is because I just want to be able to get it all out, share my whole story. It's really, really easy to point people to like a YouTube video rather than being like, go watch all my story highlights or go look at this random post from months ago. Like, very easy to just point you to a YouTube video. So I plan on just laying it all out here for you guys so it's all clear about everything. Because I also think transparency is huge. Like, I could just go about this journey and not tell anybody. It doesn't help anybody that way. It doesn't hurt anybody necessarily, but doesn't help. So let's get to it. So for those that don't know, I have been having some health issues for the past like year and a half at this point. So the earliest I can remember of when this all started was around like July of 2021. So at that point, I had started to get some like headaches, I really don't know how to explain these episodes that come about, but it's brain fog, but it's more than that. It's like, it's honestly hard to even drive. It's hard to concentrate. It's hard to do anything. It's like an immense days where nothing feels real. But I started to get some of those episodes. And like I said, I can't exactly pinpoint when it started because it was kind of like a slow onset of things. So like I'd get like a headache and like a little bit of that like brain fogginess. I was also just ended a deficit at this point too. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just from that, from like the lower calories or just being a little bit leaner. Like maybe I just need to focus on reverse dieting and this will improve. So that's what I did for the first few months. I just kind of, I didn't ignore it necessarily, but I felt like if I continued to reverse diet that it would improve. It didn't improve, unfortunately. I still continued to have these symptoms. Honestly, at that point, it really was mostly just like the head stuff, headaches very constantly, the brain fog, the like difficulty concentrating, all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until October of 2021 that I started to investigate. Now, full transparency, I was not investigating for those symptoms that I just mentioned. I was investigating for my acne. So I'd been breaking out for, at that point, like a little over, I think, a year and a half at that point. Oh, Bunny. He's so sad. And at this point, now that I'm speaking to you, it's been almost 3 years of me having skin issues. I had tried everything. I went to multiple dermatologists. I was told to get on a testosterone blocker. I was told to, I was put on antibiotics that did nothing. If anything, I got an allergy to that and I was very, very itchy from it. So I couldn't take that. I tried, I forget what it's called, but it's a specific brand where they're supposed to give you like your own formulated treatment for your skin. I tried everything and I was very fed up with it. And I was looking online for another route and I found this naturopath who specifically specialized in skincare. He's gonna wanna leave the room, likely. Lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down. Good boy. Whew. That was a rough one. Found this naturopath, went to her, did a round of blood work, and she started asking me these other questions of how I'm feeling, otherwise? How are my periods? How is my sleep? How is my stress? How am I feeling energy-wise? Like all these questions that I hadn't really fully considered, and I guess I just kind of normalized them a lot. So at that point was feeling very low energy. Like I said, the headaches, the brain foggy stuff, stress was definitely high, periods were painful, all that jazz, okay? Are you coming back up? Come on, up, up. Oh, Maron. I swear. Just leave, go. Dogs, man. Where was I? So we did blood work, and at that point found out that I had low testosterone, and on that blood work too, low cortisol. Now, for those that don't know, cortisol gets like a lot of bad rep. People think that it's really bad. People think that they shouldn't have cortisol or like whatever. You still need cortisol. Just because high cortisol is bad doesn't mean cortisol itself is bad. Cortisol is what keeps us energized through the day. It's what, is important if there's like an actual really stressful life or death situation. We need cortisol to be able to get through those things. So cortisol is important. And now when you have low cortisol in the morning, which is when I tested my blood, that basically means that you are not going to be energized. You're going to feel very sluggish. You're going to feel very tired. You're not going to feel like you're waking up refreshed. And that was definitely true with what was happening. So that came back like that. And then my testosterone was low. And at that point, it was actually low. It was like at an 11 at that point. My doctor was a little bit shocked, to be honest, because typically for the symptoms that I have with my skin, especially around the chin area is where I typically break out. That is 9 times out of 10 because of testosterone. Now I came back with low testosterone. And so she was a little bit perplexed about that, but she tried for honestly months to figure out what was going on. So she put me on a certain amount of supplements, did a dairy-free, gluten-free thing. That helped a little bit, but it wasn't anything long-term that was helping. Started breaking out again. Then we did a Dutch test, which is a urine test for your hormones, because she wanted to see, urine tests, Dutch tests specifically, kind of give you a little bit more of a broader view of everything. So you can see like, you don't just actually have like estrogen. Your estrogen is split into different types of estrogens. So that Dutch test gives you the ability to see all of those things. So she did that. On the Dutch test, my estrogen came back really, really low. My testosterone was still low on the Dutch test as well, but it didn't make sense because my blood test for my hormones, this is getting a little bit in depth, but my blood test for my hormones, my estrogen was fine, but then on the Dutch test, it was really, really low. So my doctor was like, that's kind of weird. So she still tried to like do different things to bring my levels up, blah, blah, blah. Really not seeing any improvements with my symptoms like at all. A couple months later, she's like, you know what? I just want you to have a win at this point. I want you to see like improvement in your skin. So since the Dutch test said your estrogen was like pretty much bottomed out and your testosterone was low but above the estrogen, I'm going to try to bring your testosterone down more so that it levels out with the estrogen, and then I'll bring them back up together. So I followed it. I followed what she was trying to do for me. In retrospect, I mean, even when she told me that she was going to try to like decrease my already low testosterone, I was like, this feels kind of funky. And like, why? Like, yeah, I want clear skin, but I want to feel better overall. Like, I just don't feel good. Like at that point, I had already been starting to have to stop going to the gym. I mean, there's a lot of symptoms that I've left out of here that I can at the end just kind of like run you guys through like all the symptoms that I've had the past year and a half. But I literally like very hard to get through workouts, if getting to the gym at all, extremely tired. The brain fog, like I said, the headaches that at times would be every single day. And it was very difficult to even be able to do work, to be able to just like do the baseline of things that I needed to do in a day. And for her to just try to decrease my testosterone more, which would just make me feel worse in order to just make my skin clear, it was like, that doesn't make sense. But like I said, I did it. So she put me on 2 different herbs that are meant to decrease testosterone levels. And I felt really shitty. I will be honest. I was very depressed and sad and low energy, very difficult to get to the gym, all that kind of stuff from that moment forward a little bit. So I was like, you know what? It's time to see a new naturopath. So now we're in like probably May of 2022, so almost a full year after my symptoms kind of started, and I see my second naturopath. I also hadn't retested my hormones for a while. My first time I tested my hormones was October 2021. My second time was, I think, January of 2022, and then my third time was all the way into May of 2022. So about 5 months later, I decided to test them again. No one told me to. I was just like, I want to see where I'm at because it's been a long time. If there's been improvements, I want to know. I figured that there wasn't going to be drastic improvements because I already felt like shit. So got my hormones tested. My total testosterone did come up a little bit. It came up about 10 points, 10 units. But my free testosterone was 0.1. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't realize, but when you're getting your blood work done for your hormones, it's very important to get both free testosterone and total testosterone, because total testosterone doesn't really give you the full picture, and someone could have like a fine total testosterone or like an okay total testosterone, but their free could be tanked. Or someone could have like an okay testosterone, but they have like a ton of free testosterone. Then they would probably feel fine. So for myself, I had barely any free testosterone, and that's why I was feeling so shitty. Not to mention my total was still not great. That's where the discrepancy was. So at that point, everything else was still good. My cholesterol's great, my thyroid's great, like everything's fantastic. At this point too, I think my cortisol is also kind of okay, which is probably because I cut out caffeine for a little bit at one point, to just kind of give my body a chance to have its own natural production of cortisol in the morning and relax a little bit with the gym, relax a little bit with stress to reduce some stress on myself and all that kind of stuff, which obviously helped. I go to my second naturopath. This is Dr. Priya. I've talked about her. She's lovely. I still love her. She's fantastic. But at this point, like I said, it had been quite some time since I started all of this journey and since I started my symptoms. And so I was really just trying to see some progress. So we did a GI map with her because I was like, maybe there's something in my GI system that's causing all of this haywireness with the rest of my body. That's one of the really difficult things, is finding like the root cause of things. So we did a GI map. H. pylori came back a little bit, I think a little candida, and I forget what else. It wasn't anything drastic, like there was nothing like crazy wrong, but there were some things that we started to treat. And it's been a roller coaster because there will be some times where I'm like, I feel better, like I feel more energy, I feel like my skin's improving, I feel like whatever other symptoms were bad, like I feel like they're improving. And then a couple weeks later, I'm like, oh, I feel like shit again. Like I'm getting the headaches again. I feel like the brain fog again every single day. I feel really tired. I can't sleep at night. Like it's been up and down and up and down and up and down the whole time, which potentially could be because like maybe some of the treatments helped a little bit, but not enough for the actual root cause of it. I don't really know, but it's been a roller coaster. So continued to work with her for a little bit. Again, my testosterone was still quite low. A couple months later, I tested my testosterone or my hormones again because I was just curious to see if there was any improvement. Because at this point, I was like, listen, it's been almost a full year of doing this. I still feel like trash. And if these natural protocols were going to make some big change in my life, they should have already done something by now, right? Like it's been almost a year of doing natural protocols to bring my testosterone back up. I rested so much more from the gym this year than I ever have, like weeks and weeks on end off, like every couple months. And even when I was training consistently, like 3 to 4 times a week versus like 6 times a week in the past, or 5 to 6 times a week in the past. Like I wasn't doing cardio, I wasn't doing anything stressful. Like my steps are like 4 to 6K, very low stress. So I was like, listen, if it's not working at this point, I need to start investigating other possibilities. I had already at this point thought about TRT because, like I said, I felt horrible and things just weren't working and things weren't improving, no matter what supplements we did. And trust me, I've ordered so many supplements this year to try to improve this. So to make a long story short, I got my hormones tested again. This is now the 4th time in a year, again with blood test to see if there was any improvement with my testosterone. At that time, my total testosterone came up 3 points and my free testosterone only came up 0.2. So I was still at 0.3 for free testosterone, which every doctor I've talked to in the past year says anything below like 0.5 is something you typically see for a woman who's like in their 50s or in their 40s. So no wonder why I feel like shit. So anyway, I digress. At that point, I was like, okay, it's I'm still not feeling great. It's really time to start doing some research into all of this and seeing if this is something that I want to pursue. And like I said, it's been really difficult to find any useful information for someone my age and my gender to help make that decision, because a lot of stuff out there is for women who are going through menopause or who are premenopausal or postmenopausal, like not women who are 25 or in their 20s or even in their 30s. It's very difficult to even find someone who's in their 30s going through this stuff. Maybe because of the stigma around it. Maybe that's part of it, because people don't understand. Like, the thing is, if you take birth control, you are taking hormones. People don't realize that. You're literally supplementing with hormones. Every pill that you take is just hormones. And that week when you take the sugar pills, you bleed because you're being withdrawn from hormones. Taking something like hormone therapy is the same exact thing. Testosterone is just another hormone, and it's just another thing you take to help with your hormones. That's all it is. But people like to speculate and make judgments and all that stuff. So I think that's absolutely a reason why it's very difficult to find someone my age with this experience, because people fear judgment, and I totally get that. It's not fun, but I wanted to do this for other people. But I don't think it's that there's a lack of women doing this, because I've heard from many women in my DMs. I've heard from men about their girlfriends or their wives who have decided to go with TRT and they feel absolutely amazing. It's completely changed their lives. I've had clients do it. It's more common than you think, and hormonal imbalances also are more common than you think. Like I said, people don't want to talk about it because they get judged, and it's honestly rude. Because if I came on here and was like, hey, I have depression, I'm gonna take antidepressants, everyone would be like, that's so amazing, wishing you good luck and health. But when it comes to, hey, I'm going to try to improve my life because I feel like absolute dog shit every day, I can't work properly on my business, I can't go to the gym, I can't go to the gym, I can't do all these other things that I typically would do that have made me so happy in my life, and I feel depressed because of it, and you get judged for it. It's just lame. I digress. The last little piece of this puzzle, so around, I honestly don't know when, maybe it was like August or September of 2022. Now this was a year past my symptoms onsetting. For those that don't know, Greg's been going through a lot of similar symptoms. He has some different symptoms than I have, but some similar symptoms. He also had low testosterone and has been on TRT for a bit now, but it hasn't really fully helped him. And he's gone through the whole GI map thing. He had a lot of issues with his gut that have now been a little bit fixed, but kind of going backwards because he's on antibiotics. Either way, we both had a lot of symptoms that were similar, and we both kind of had an onset at the same time. So it was really weird. It was like, how are we both feeling like so shitty all the time? What is going on, right? So he got tested for Lyme disease back in September or August of 2022, and his results came back that he did have it and some other co-infections with it. And since we had such similar symptoms, since it was like such a weird coincidence or onset of like both of us feeling shitty right away at the same time, I decided to get tested too. Now, my test result came back. By the way, for those that don't know, the Lyme testing is testing for antibodies in your body of Lyme. And the antibodies, if they come back high, don't necessarily mean that you have a current or active infection, which makes it tricky, right? Because you could have high levels of antibodies for these specific variants, but not have the actual infection currently active in your body. So his results came back like conclusive that he has Lyme. My results came back a little bit more complicated because I did have high antibodies for a couple different things. I think there were 5 total things that came back high, but it wasn't enough to classify me as definitely having the disease. So I've been going through a protocol since then to kind of provoke it, I guess, to see how I feel, and based on that, treat it or not. But it is possible that that has been like the root cause of everything, of all of the symptoms, of even the low testosterone, because like I said, it was just a whole onset of random weird symptoms that I've never had before, never experienced before. Like, I've gotten headaches before, but nothing to the extent that I've had this past year and a half. So I'm gonna read you through what the symptoms are. So again, it's also hard to tell like exactly what's from what and whatnot, but I wrote out all the symptoms that I had the past year and a half that are weird and I don't personally experience or have never experienced in the past. So dizziness and motion sickness, severe at times, specifically like in the back of a car, terrible. In an Uber, I can't do it. Even in planes, I started to get motion sick, which I've never dealt with before. Like, I've had some motion sickness if I'm like on my phone or like reading a book, but even now I can't, like, I have to literally be looking outside with like the window down, or it's bad. Headaches, brain fog, like I said, trouble concentrating, and everything feels unreal. Again, very hard to describe the feeling, but it's like, it's a very scary feeling. Fatigue, extreme at times, achy and painful joints, low libido, acne, poor sleep. I wake up a ton at night. When I say a ton, I mean like probably 10 times, if not more, every single night, even with sleep supplements. Low motivation and drive, inability to push myself in the gym. This was really bad at one point. I would get, but honestly, it's still kind of bad. I would get very shaky, lightheaded. I've had a headache, nauseous, and just feel like I'm literally gonna pass out after just pushing myself for like a set or two, with especially lower body days. And even now, like if I try to do anything more than like 2 exercises, I start to feel like shit. Really, really painful periods, really severe ovulation pain, which I've never had. It feels like I can't walk. It's so bad. It's like the last time I had it, I thought I needed to go to the emergency room. Heart palpitations and fluttering, which I've never had before, very scary. Also like very rapid heart rate at times that it wouldn't make sense. Hair loss, this really annoying like ear thumping thing. Random uncontrollable teeth chattering when I'm not cold. I'll just be laying there, my teeth can't stop chattering. Neck pain, eczema on my hands and feet that I've never had before. I remember showing you guys on my Instagram story, but I had it all over my hands, all over my feet. Right before that, I also had a rash all over my stomach, which was really weird too. I would get tingling on my face and my body when I get warm, or like when I start getting like active, I start getting tingling all over my body. I get itchy legs and feet sometimes when I'm walking, a lot of tailbone pain, other joint pain that just, I think I already said that, achy and painful joints, yeah. So just a lot of weird symptoms, and there's still things now where I like think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was weird too. Like I forgot about that. But yeah, so regardless, I have decided that the best thing for myself moving forward, I've decided this by the way, not just like myself, but I've talked to many doctors. Like I said, I've seen 5 different doctors this past year, and it's been pretty conclusive between my naturopathic doctor and now the doctor I'm seeing at the hormone clinic, that this is the best next option for me. Because if you're not seeing any movement in your testosterone or your free testosterone levels after a year plus of natural remedies, then it's time to pursue something else. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, so I made the decision. I will be starting it very soon, just waiting for the supplies to get here from the hormone clinic. And if you have any like questions about any of the stuff, you guys can comment down below. If you want to know how I came to the conclusion, like I said, I went to a hormone clinic to get more lab work done, to have it read over with the doctor, just kind of talk about the different options. I actually did that twice. I did that once like in May of this past year, and I just didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like it was the decision that I was ready to make, because it is a very big decision. But then, like I said, months later now in December of 2022, I feel very ready, because I still feel very little improvement, and clearly there's very little improvement in the actual blood work. So yeah, that is a little bit about everything that's gone on this past year, the decision that I've come to. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to comment below. I'm honestly just looking forward to being able to go to the gym consistently and not feel like I'm dragging my feet there every single day and feel like I can't even get through 2 or 3 exercises for like 3 sets where I'm not even fully pushing myself. I'm excited to be able to sleep really well and be able to wake up and feel refreshed. I'm excited to be able to concentrate better. And that's another thing. I felt very like, I've never had ADD before or anything like that, or any difficulty concentrating, but the past few months it's been wild. Like my brain is all over the place and I feel like I can't concentrate on anything. I'm just very excited. If you guys have any questions, like I said, feel free to comment below. Thank you for following along this journey, and I'm just ready to be better and feel better.